Imagine standing in the middle of a burning desert with no water, your armor turning into a furnace beneath the scorching July sun. Smoke fills the air, arrows rain from every direction, and thousands of exhausted Crusader knights suddenly realize they have walked straight into a deadly trap. Their horses are collapsing from thirst, their mouths are dry with heat, and their enemies surround them from every side. On July 4, 1187, at the Battle of Hattin, one man shattered the power of the Crusader kingdom and changed the history of Jerusalem forever. His name was Sultan Salahuddin, the warrior whose brilliance and mercy would turn him into one of history's greatest legends. Nearly 88 years earlier, in 1099, Christian crusaders from Europe captured Jerusalem during the First Crusade. Driven by religious zeal and encouraged by Pope Urban II, thousands of knights and soldiers marched across continents to seize the Holy City from Muslim control. When the Crusaders finally breached Jerusalem's walls, they unleashed a massacre that horrified even medieval historians. Muslims and Jews were slaughtered across the streets, inside mosques, and within their own homes. Chroniclers described blood flowing through the city as terrified civilians begged for mercy that never came. After the conquest, the Crusaders established the Kingdom of Jerusalem along with several other Crusader states throughout the Middle East. For decades after that victory, the Muslim world remained deeply divided. Rival rulers in Egypt, Syria, Iraq, and surrounding lands fought against one another instead of uniting against the Crusaders. Each ruler focused more on protecting his own throne than defending Jerusalem. The Crusaders took advantage of this weakness by constructing powerful fortresses and expanding their influence across the region. It seemed as though their rule over the Holy Land would last forever. But history was preparing a leader who would change everything. In 1137, in the city of Tikrit in present-day Iraq, a boy named Yusuf ibn Ayyub was born into a Kurdish family. The world would later remember him as Saladin. Unlike many famous conquerors, Saladin did not begin life as a fearless warrior obsessed with battle. During his youth, he was more interested in religion, education, and scholarship than military glory. Yet destiny slowly pushed him toward politics and war. His uncle Shirkuh was one of the top generals serving Nur ad-Din Zengi, the powerful Muslim ruler of Syria. Through his uncle's influence, Saladin entered military service and quickly proved himself intelligent, disciplined, and capable. In 1169, Saladin became vizier, or chief minister, of Egypt during a period of political chaos. Egypt was then ruled by the weak Fatimid Caliphate, which had lost much of its authority. Saladin skillfully took control of the government, restored Sunni rule under the Abbasid Caliphate, and transformed Egypt into a strong and stable power. More importantly, he understood something no one else had fully achieved before. The Crusaders could never be defeated while Muslims remained divided. Jerusalem could only be reclaimed through unity. After the death of Nur ad-Din in 1174, Saladin gradually expanded his authority beyond Egypt. Through diplomacy, alliances, and military campaigns, he brought Damascus, Aleppo, Mosul, and many surrounding territories under his control. For the first time in generations, a large portion of the Muslim world was united under one ruler. This geopolitical transformation terrified the Crusaders because they suddenly found themselves surrounded by a single powerful empire instead of weak and divided enemies. Saladin, however, remained patient. He knew Jerusalem could not simply be stormed overnight. The Crusaders still possessed powerful castles, elite knights, and experienced armies. To win, he needed to destroy their main military force first. The perfect opportunity came because of one reckless Crusader noble named Reynaud of Châtillon. Reynaud ruled the fortress of Currach and was infamous for his cruelty and arrogance. Despite peace treaties between Saladin and the Crusaders, Reynaud repeatedly attacked Muslim caravans and pilgrims traveling toward Mecca. He looted merchants, captured civilians, and even threatened to invade the holy cities of Mecca and Medina. His actions enraged Muslims across the region. Saladin, normally calm and patient, publicly swore that he would personally kill Reynaud for his betrayals. In 1187, Reynaud launched another brutal raid against a Muslim caravan, capturing wealth, women, and children. When Saladin demanded compensation and the release of prisoners, Reynald proudly refused. This act finally pushed the region toward total war. Saladin gathered a massive army from Egypt, Syria, Iraq, and surrounding territories. Thousands of cavalry, archers, and infantry answered his call. Yet instead of marching directly toward Jerusalem, Saladin prepared one of the greatest military traps in medieval history. He attacked the city of Tiberias, knowing the Crusaders would feel forced to respond. The Crusader army gathered at Sephoria, a strong defensive position with abundant water supplies. Experienced commanders warned King Guy of Jerusalem not to march across the dry plains toward Tiberias. One of the wisest among them, Raymond of Tripoli, understood exactly what Saladin wanted. Crossing the desert in the middle of summer would expose the Crusader army to unbearable heat and thirst. Raymond even offered to sacrifice his own wife, who was trapped inside Tiberias, rather than risk the entire army. But pride, fear, and pressure from aggressive nobles changed everything. Reynald of Châtillon and the Grand Master of the Knights Templar mocked caution and accused others of cowardice. Influenced by these voices, King Guy made a disastrous decision. On July 3, 1187, the Crusader army abandoned the safety of Sephoria and marched directly into the desert. Saladin had been waiting for this exact moment. As the Crusaders advanced beneath the burning sun, Muslim horse archers surrounded them from all sides. Instead of engaging in direct combat, Saladin's forces attacked from a distance, firing endless waves of arrows while constantly retreating out of reach. The Crusaders moved slowly under the crushing heat. Their heavy iron armor trapped heat like ovens, exhausting both men and horses. Every hour without water weakened them further. By evening, their supplies were nearly gone, and the Sea of Galilee remained far away. Desperate and exhausted, the Crusaders finally stopped near two rocky hills called the Horns of Hattin. During the night, many soldiers suffered terribly from thirst. Some horses died where they stood. Others collapsed from exhaustion before the battle had even begun. When dawn arrived on July 4, the Crusaders awoke to a nightmare. Saladin's forces had completely surrounded them. To crush enemy morale even further, Saladin ordered water brought from the Sea of Galilee to his own soldiers while the thirsty Crusaders watched helplessly. Then came the final psychological attack. Seeing the wind blowing toward the Crusader camp, Saladin ordered his men to set fire to the dry grasslands surrounding the hills. Thick smoke rolled into the Crusader positions, choking soldiers already weakened by thirst and heat. Visibility vanished. Panic spread rapidly through the camp. Then the final assault began. Muslim cavalry and archers attacked relentlessly from every direction. The exhausted Crusaders attempted desperate charges to break through the encirclement, but Saladin's disciplined army crushed every attack. Knights fell from their horses. Infantry collapsed beneath arrows and sword strikes. One by one, the greatest warriors of the Crusader kingdom were defeated. During the chaos, the sacred Christian relic known as the True Cross was captured by Muslim forces. For the Crusaders, it was both a military and spiritual catastrophe. By the end of the battle, the Crusader army had been annihilated. Thousands were dead, captured, or scattered across the battlefield. Among the prisoners were King Guy of Jerusalem and Reynald of Châtillon himself. After the battle, the prisoners were brought before Saladin. The Sultan offered cold water to the thirsty King Guy. When the king attempted to pass the drink to Reynald, Saladin stopped him immediately. According to local tradition, offering food or drink to a prisoner symbolized protection and mercy. Saladin wanted Reynald to understand that no such mercy awaited him. The Sultan reminded Reynald of his broken treaties and crimes against innocent travelers. Then Saladin personally executed him, fulfilling the oath he had made years earlier. King Guy, however, was spared. Saladin famously declared, "A king does not kill another king." The destruction of the Crusader army at Hattin left Jerusalem defenseless. One by one, Crusader cities and fortresses surrendered to Saladin's forces. Acre, Jaffa, Sidon, Beirut, and Ascalon all fell under Muslim control. Saladin's strategy was brilliant. By capturing coastal cities, he blocked European reinforcements from arriving by sea. Finally, in September 1187, Saladin and his massive army arrived outside the walls of Jerusalem itself. Fear spread rapidly through the city because there was almost no professional army left to defend it. Leadership fell to Balian of Ibelin, a respected Crusader noble who desperately organized civilians and young boys to help guard the walls. For nearly 2 weeks, Saladin's siege engines bombarded Jerusalem while Muslim miners weakened sections of the walls from below. Eventually, Balian realized defeat was inevitable. He requested negotiations with Saladin but warned that if no mercy were offered, the defenders would destroy holy sites and kill civilians before the city fell. Saladin now faced a choice that would define his legacy forever. He could have taken brutal revenge for the massacre of 1099. He could have ordered slaughter throughout Jerusalem in retaliation for what the Crusaders had done nearly a century earlier. Instead, he chose mercy. On October 2, 1187, Saladin entered Jerusalem peacefully. Unlike the Crusaders before him, he strictly forbade the killing of civilians. Churches and Christian holy places were protected. Christians were allowed to leave safely after paying a ransom, and thousands of poor people who could not afford freedom were released anyway, many with their ransom personally paid by Saladin and his brother Al-Adil. Women, children, and the elderly were treated with compassion instead of violence. Saladin's actions shocked both the Muslim world and Christian Europe. Even many of his enemies admired his honor, generosity, and humanity. In an age when war usually ended in massacres and revenge, Saladin chose dignity and restraint. His reputation spread across continents, transforming him into one of the most respected rulers of the medieval world. The fall of Jerusalem triggered the Third Crusade, led by famous rulers such as King Richard the Lionheart of England. Richard proved to be a brilliant warrior and won several important battles against Saladin. Yet despite his military skill, he could never retake Jerusalem. Saladin's patience, strategy, and political intelligence forced Richard into a peace agreement that left Jerusalem under Muslim control while allowing Christian pilgrims to visit peacefully. Saladin's victory at Hattin was more than a military triumph. It was the rebirth of a divided world through unity, discipline, and leadership. His strategies are still studied in military academies today, but his greatest legacy was not simply conquering cities or defeating armies. It was proving that even in times of hatred and bloodshed, mercy and humanity could still exist. If you enjoyed this story and want more epic historical documentaries like this, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another journey into history.